Chapter 841, Kizaru and Shanks. Akainu. Kaido. I didn't expect you to come out so soon. It's just trying to get this fight over as quickly as possible. If you have this ability, then let me see your enlightenment. Before Akainu could respond again, Kaido's angry fist slammed over. Kaido is tall. No, it should be huge. His muscles are as tough as steel that has been tempered, and his fists are like a hill, and the ground is trembling, groaning, and groaning under the terrifying force. Chant. This is the combat power of the four emperors. The combat power at the top of the world is only a short distance away from the peak. My consciousness, can you accept it all? No evasion, no retreat. Akainu roared. The boiling magma fist suddenly slammed into Kaido's falling fist. Boom. A violent sonic boom sounded, and the air seemed to be torn apart by the violent and high temperature. The surging shock wave and the hot air wave shook the entire island, and the world changed. Above the clouds, a thick red cloud and a black cloud collided and squeezed each other. Under such a bizarre phenomenon, both pirates and marine held their breaths, and then burst out with amazing roars. Kill. The two torrents collided together, and the killing was pushed to the highest tide in less than a cup of tea. Jingle, swords and swords, sparks radiate in all directions. If you are not careful, you will break your hands and feet, or even hang your life by a thread, and your life will wither. Under the interweaving of flames, blood, and sweat, only Wu Yong guided them to move forward bravely and fight until the end. It's a battle for life and honor. Ah! Kaido roared incessantly, and under his rage, he descended like a demon, and his unparalleled aura ravaged the entire Tierra del Fuego. Facing the real Kaido, Akainu can only use a more ferocious attack to implement the justice in his heart. Mom, I didn't expect Akainu to fight Kaido for so long. Bree's eyes were dignified, and he was no longer relaxed and comfortable. At this time, he was on the top of the mountain, overlooking the fierce fight below, and the more he watched, the more shocked he became. Mama, Charlotte Linlin laughed. This is not their full strength. Isn't this full of strength? Bray asked curiously. After all, she has never seen a real top-level powerhouse duel, let alone a peak-level duel, and she has grown so big, she has never I have seen her mother play seriously with people. If you can be called a monster, you have the destructive power of a monster. If you are serious, a mere Tierra del Fuego will not be enough for them to toss. Charlotte Linlin told the truth in one sentence, but the truth made the scalps of her children go numb. You must know that Tierra del Fuego is not an ordinary island. This island is big and strong. But Akainu and Kaido can easily destroy this island. But Akainu's strength is indeed much stronger than before, so Kaido has to focus on the battle, which is interesting. Charlotte Linlin smiled, then turned her attention to the fight between Shanks and Kizaru on the other side. Kizaru is not weak, and he has enough speed that he can face any opponent. Although Shanks' strength is higher than Kizaru's purpose is just to entangle him. As long as he entangles, the mission is completed. The mission first. Kizaru never thought about a quick fix, or supporting Akainu. Who would you say, Akainu or Kaido, will win? At this moment, Shanks suddenly asked Kizaru. Kizaru was playing a displacement game in front of Shanks. He was stunned when he heard Shanks' question, and then said, it should be Akainu. In order to defeat Andre, he has worked hard all these years. Really? Shanks raised the corner of his mouth, and then the western sword pressed forward, and a terrifying momentum surged from him. Conqueror. Kizaru quickly distanced himself to avoid Conqueror Haki's interference. Although Kizaru's strength is very strong, Conqueror Haki still has a certain influence on him, and in the duel of masters, any influence is a decisive factor. Who is stronger than Andre? Haki shown by Shanks at this time has caused the changes in the world, and the originally black and red cloud conflict has gradually dissipated under the interference of Shanks. After all, only a true king can rule the world. It's a terrifying aura. Kizaru squinted. Shanks showed more strength than he expected. Although he knew that each of the 4 emperors had amazing strength, the influence of Conqueror Haki on him is very likely to make him later killed in battle. Answer me, who is stronger? The last strong voice almost roared out. Shanks has been played bad by Andre over the years. Although he doesn't say anything on the surface, he has always surpassed Andre's heart, making him continue to practice hard and chase desperately. Unfortunately, in front of Andre, you're not really his match. Kizaru chuckled quietly, but he wasn't trying to stimulate Shanks, because under Andre's momentum, his actions would be greatly affected. If you want to figuratively describe the difference in momentum between the two, it is the deep sea of 1,000 meters and the deep sea of less than 10,000 meters. The former stands for Shanks, the latter for Andre. Really? Shanks closed his eyes, but he suddenly swung his sword, and a sword chi hundreds of meters long burst out. Boom! A 2-kilometer-high mountain was cut open by a sword, and the severed mountain was suddenly smashed down. Ah! Shanks opened his eyes and shouted at the same time. The western sword in his hand turned into a sword shadow in the sky, like a dense net, and saw the broken peak cut into countless pieces and smashed towards Kizaru. Kizaru was shocked. Under the influence of Conqueror Haki, his actions were a little slow, but he still avoided it as soon as possible. I heard Andre can beat you easily. However, before Kizaru could escape, Shanks caught up. As expected of the 4 emperors, this observation Haki is indeed unusual. Kizaru knew that Shanks had already judged his next move, so without waiting for his feet to stand firm, he turned around and kicked at the speed of light, wanting to take the lead and force Shanks back. However, Shanks' observation Haki also reached a high level, so he had an insight into Kizaru's little actions in advance. Enlightenment, Kizaru. Conqueror Haki broke out again and instantly froze Kizaru for 0.02 seconds. Afterwards, the western sword slid across the mouth of Shang, and Kizaru's light speed kick also savagely. Empty. Chapter 842 Bloodletting Tactics. Kizaru was wounded, badly, and Shanks' blade almost cut off his chest. Fortunately, in a critical event, Fujitora came to the rescue and just saved Kizaru's life from the hands of death. But even so, Kizaru fell into a coma after losing too much blood. On the other hand, Akainu didn't take advantage of Kaido. After all, it would be difficult for Akainu alone to subdue Kaido, an undead-type monster. But Marine finally won today's war, and they won the crowd. With the fall of the main peak of Tierra del Fuego, it was announced that Tierra del Fuego all fell into the hands of Marine, and the fleet of the 3 emperors could only retreat back with endless exhaustion and huge casualties. However, the victory and defeat did not bring much encouragement and blow to both sides, because they all knew that the war had just begun. Charlotte Linlin should establish a defense line in the Grim Islands after the defeat in Tierra del Fuego. There are turbulent undercurrents and whirlpools, violent hurricanes, and countless reefs in that area. It is estimated that Marine will be released there again. Blood. Andre pointed his finger at the Grim Islands, 100 nautical miles southeast of Tierra del Fuego. Redfield was quite puzzled, and asked, will Marine still fight? I mean, why didn't Marine bypass the Grim Islands, go straight through the public waters, and attack Charlotte Linlin's territory? There are still a lot of pirate groups in the public waters, and these weak guys are watching the wind. If Marine doesn't completely destroy the alliance of the 3 emperors, then these little guys will think that Marine is afraid of the 3 emperors. After all, in the Battle of Tierra del Fuego, Marine suffered far more casualties than the alliance of the 3 emperors. Andre's answer made Brindewald unable to sit still. If our 4-man alliance goes to war with Marine, then Marine will probably flee back to Marineford with their tails between their tails. Not necessarily. Andre shook his head, although he didn't want to hurt Wald's confidence, but the facts were in front of him, and some things were one thing. It was better to make it clear. Marine is just one of Tenryubito's, they are just hunting dogs, they are only responsible for exploring the road ahead, and the real main force is still on Tenryubido's combined fleet, so the object we want to defeat is the combined fleet. Is the combined fleet strong? Neither Wald nor Redfield had experience with combined fleets. If it's strong, it's not very strong, but... Andre shook his head. He had beaten a combined fleet before. That was the first time he defeated Ernst Saint, but at that time, Ernst Street underestimated the enemy, and it was the first appearance of the two Logias of the Zero Division. This was the unexpected attack. So now Ernst Street will never make that kind of mistake again, giving the two major Logias a chance to join forces to release a big move. And if you want to attack Tenryubido's combined fleet, you must find a way to clean up the Hound Marine. 2 days later, the alliance of three emperors, as Andre had expected, blocked Marine in the Grim Islands. The two sides fought from dawn to dusk, and the sea was stained with blood. The person who was injured in this battle was replaced by Ryokugyu, who was almost heartbroken by Kaido's fist. But even if he was rescued by Akainu, with his seriously injured body, it is estimated that he would have to eat sick meals with Kizaru, and it is estimated that he would not be able to go to the battlefield in a short time. From the perspective of these two battles, the current goal of the Three Emperors Alliance is to hunt Admiral. In this way, it will not only damage Marine's morale, but also make Marine lose the highest combat power. Akainu also knows that if this continues, sooner or later, the pirates will exchange their own combat power with the tactics of space for combat power. And he knew better that after he took the position and forced a group of bigwigs to retire, the Marine headquarters' top combat power was scarce, and it was no longer available, which became the biggest problem for Marine. It is true that there are not many candidates with admiral strength, but this does not mean that these candidates can serve as admiral. Take Kuroba, for example. He also has the power of admiral, but he has only just passed the 60-point pass line, and is still a long way from being 80-point excellent. And even if Kuzan disagrees with Akainu, his strength is above 95 points, and he is an indispensable top-level combat power for Marine. Therefore, Akainu understood that the combat power of admiral, or possessing the combat power of admiral, could not help him solve the current problem. Charlotte Linlin, your bloodletting tactics are really annoying. Akainu slept through the night, repeatedly researching ways to solve the dilemma. In fact, the solution is very simple. As long as there is top-level combat support, not too much, as long as 3 or 5, this problem will be solved. The problem is that this high level of combat power is either retired or idle. As for asking Tenryubido for help, forget it, save it. Akainu knew very well that Tenryubido had sent them to the mines to clear the way for the final battle against Andre. Therefore, Tenryubido will not send a single pawn until he finally faces Andre. Compared with Akainu's upset, Charlotte Linlin has gradually entered the state. She seems to have found the feeling, coordinating the overall situation, and strategizing the feeling. As long as Fujitora can be killed on the Isle of Thorns, then Akainu will have no helpers. Even if he has the help of peacekeepers, he is not our opponent in the end. Next. Charlotte Linlin sat in the chair and talked. She enjoyed this feeling very much, and finally knew how cool Andre was in this position. The thrill of having everything, including his life and death in his hands, made her cool. Don't. But what are we going to do with the combined fleet? Marine alone has cost us a lot. Kaido's face is not very good looking, even though his casualties are the smallest, but his losses are the most serious. Because every time it was his ferocious beast legion who fought against Akainu's peacekeepers, after 2 fierce battles, the ferocious beast legion was already less than 50 people. Don't worry, I naturally have a way to deal with them, and I won't make you wait too long. Charlotte Linlin smiled confidently. She had witnessed the power of H2S poison gas with her own eyes, so she believed that once the war broke out, if it is used in the battle, it will surely damage Tenryubido's combined fleet. Chapter 843 Roots of the Troubled World. Charlotte Linlin is full of confidence, but someone is thinking about how to escape. This someone was the one who gave Charlotte Linlin confidence. Caesar wanted to escape, to the windless belt, or to the Gulf of Alcalon. In short, no matter where you escaped, as long as you can stay away from Charlotte Linlin, you will be safe. Because whether it was the giant human body, or the H2S gas that turned the tide of the battle, he had no confidence that Charlotte Linlin could be satisfied. Although now Charlotte Linlin has been fooled by him very successfully. But only Caesar knew best that the H2S gas had not been tested in actual combat. As for the so-called experimental data, as well as the experimental demonstration, it was all carried out in a confined space. And how wide is the real battlefield? Caesar had no idea about this question, and once the H2S gas was diluted in the air, its power would be greatly reduced. More importantly, it was also the reason why Caesar had to run away, that is, the reserves of H2S poison gas were very small, not as much as he had guaranteed. So, Charlotte Linlin got scammed. Pity that Caesar can't escape now. Charlotte Linlin sent a team of elites to protect him, the kind that never leaves. God, save me. Caesar sat on the toilet, folded his hands, and prayed silently. Dong dong. Mr. Caesar, are you not feeling well? Why haven't you come out yet? Baron Eggy was standing guard outside the toilet. He glanced at the time, and Caesar had been in the toilet for half an hour. My stomach is uncomfortable, let me stay for a while. Caesar shouted while thinking about how to escape. Then hurry up. Baron Dandin was a little impatient, but this is normal, who would be willing to stand guard at the toilet door? ... Hey, where's my buddy? You let me out, hey. Did you hear that, you bastards? Luffy yelled in the room. It wasn't that he didn't want to break the door to go out, but the room he was in was actually made of sea stone, so Luffy couldn't do anything about it. As for the soldiers standing guard at the gate, they were all used to Luffy, the vigorous guy. To be honest, it was the first time they had seen such a jumping guy. From the beginning to the present, this guy has been shouting non-stop from morning to night in addition to eating, drinking and sleeping. The first 2 days, there was so much noise that people wanted to cut off his head. Blah blah. There was a sound of footsteps, and when the soldier at the door saw the person coming, he immediately stood up straight. Ayatollah glanced at Luffy in the room and said to the soldier, "Open the door, the master wants to see him." Yes. The soldier nodded, and then opened the door swiftly. As soon as the door opened, Luffy couldn't wait to rush out. But he was blocked by Ayatollah. Ayatollah put a hand around Luffy's neck. "I hope you don't make so much noise when you see master." While speaking, Ayatollah's right hand turned green, and the green plague penetrated into Luffy's body along the way. In less than 10 seconds, Luffy felt as if his entire body had been drained of strength, and he could only slump his head. Bang! 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 Diaresis after passing through 12 iron gates, the guards on the 12 floors. Ayatollah brought Luffy to the front of Foldyaru. At this time, Foldyaru saw that Luffy was dressed in frog green and knew what Ayatollah had done to him, so he told Ayatollah. "Say, let him stand and talk to me." Yes. Ayatollah immediately drained the plague from Luffy. Luffy finally regained his breath, and after a violent cough of, cough cough, he raised his head and looked at Foldyao. "Who are you? Where is my partner?" Luffy's eyes were hot, his fists clenched, and he looked at Foldyao without fear. Andre was also interested in Luffy, but he was curious about what was in Luffy that deserved Andre's attention. Snapped. Foldyao snapped his fingers, and then let the maid bring food and drinks into the room. "Are you hungry? Watch it while you eat, it's a good documentary." Luffy saw the Battle of Tierra del Fuego and the Battle of the Grim Islands as the image worm began to project. The cruelty of war, Luffy has long seen. In Alabasta, he had seen even more cruel, but this time it touched his heart deeply. Because one after another pirate ship sank into the sea in the shelling, he was even afraid that there would be his ship and his companions among them. But what shocked him more was the Battle of Shanks, Bambeck, Raikalu, Usopp and others. He saw Reikalu covered in blood, he saw Yasop lying in a pool of blood, he saw Shanks fighting desperately to save my comrades. Tears trickled down his eyes, Luffy clenched his fists, his nails sank deep into his flesh, and his knuckles turned pale. Why are you showing me this? Tenryubito will kill all the pirates in the New World, and your companions are on the list to be killed. That's what happened to them. Snapped. Another snap of fingers, and then projected on the wall is a picture of Sabayati Archipelago's public execution. The first EPUB to be beheaded, when the head was chopped off, the veins on Luffy's head burst. Do you know who made all this? The Marine, the world government, the Tenryubito. Fullyawu shook his head and said, none of them, the world government and Tenryubito have tolerated the existence of pirates in the past, and even left the New World to them to act recklessly, but Andre, this stupid guy, created a troubled world, even a war was provoked regardless of the consequences. Andre. Luffy muttered Andre's name silently. Yes, as long as Andre lives one more day, the world will never be at peace. He will try his best to provoke wars, and countless people will die because of him. You should have seen those innocent people, those who don't deserve to die. And those who are more important than your life, do you want them to die before your eyes? No, Luffy roared, his head full of horrific slaughter, slayings, from Logatown to Alabasta to Sabayati Archipelago to the New World. Too many deaths along the way. Now you lack the strength to fight Andre, but it doesn't matter, I will cultivate you, tap your potential, and let you fight against him and end this troubled world. Fullyawu finished speaking, he stretched out his hand towards Luffy. Will you accept my help? Chapter 844. Take out the old bottom and fight. As the three emperors retreated to the Isle of Thorns, the battle between the three emperors' alliance and Marine entered a turning point. Because the outcome of this battle has a direct impact on subsequent battles. It's a tough fight for Marine. Because Marine has very few top-level combat powers at the moment, only Akainu and Fujitora, Vice Admiral level combat power is not much, Rear Admiral is quite a lot, but most of them are young and unbearable. The other hand, although the number of pirates is at an absolute disadvantage, Charlotte Linlin, Kaido, and Shanks are still alive and kicking. How to contain and limit the combat power of the three has become the key to this battle. If you count me, add Kuroba, Maynard, Momoshiki, Giant, Reddit. Maybe one. Kong Ming frowned, and the wrinkles on his face were almost crowded together, but when he said this, he didn't believe it himself. After all, 6 vice admirals limit a top powerhouse, which is too strong. I will do my best, so leave Shanks to me. Fujitora's face was full of determination. He had no reason to be afraid of the upcoming fierce battle, because as long as he won this battle, then the cleanup of the New World pirates is half done. Akainu didn't speak. In fact, he still had a new force composed of the giant vice admiral, but this new force was not ready to be launched on the battlefield, at least not when the wars started. They will be used. But without using the giant vice admiral, how to deal with the power of the three emperors? The saying goes, it's hard to do things without words. Although there are many young people in Rear Admiral who are not weak, they are still too young and have too little experience against the enemy. Letting them directly face the top powerhouses is simply a shame. Let them die. At this time, Akainu really missed Onagumo, Doberman, Dalmatian, Mole and others. If they were still alive, Akainu would definitely not be so upset now. Pity that these comrades in arms and classmates whom Akainu misses have already become the nutrients of the earth. Hey! With a deep sigh, Akainu suddenly clenched his fists with determination in his eyes. Tomorrow morning, go all out and attack Thorns Island in one go. Looking at this situation, Akainu is planning to pay for his old bottom. ... Marine is troubled, and Charlotte Linlin, Kaido and Shanks are also setting up defenses. For this battle, Kaido has already taken out his old base, which is nearly 200 artificial devil fruit capable users, although the combat power is not as good as his fierce beast army, but this is already a real family. Shanks has no family background at all. Whether it is in Tierra del Fuego or the Grim Islands, the red-haired pirates are fighting with all their strength. This can be seen from the injuries on the cadres. Tomorrow is the same. Shanks and his partners will be blocking their lives and honors, and they will take their last breaths. Charlotte Linlin has a lot of thoughts. Although she is fighting with all her strength, her thoughts are not that simple. In Charlotte Linlin's view, the war on Thorns Island is over, and the next step is to face Tenryubito. If she can defeat Tenryubito, then her prestige will be comparable to Andre's, and she will be a one-size-fits-all presence in the new world in the future. Of course, Charlotte Linlin is thinking about the idea of, the world is the only one in the world. She is more concerned about the post-war period. Kaido and Shanks are afraid that they will die. After this battle, no matter whether they win or lose, they will not be able to swallow the fat of the public waters, which means that this land has already fallen into her hands. Therefore, the opponent Charlotte Linlin has to face is Andre. While Charlotte Linlin was indulging in the fantasy of fighting for the new world with Andre, Perospero came over. "Mom, the first batch of H2S gas bombs has been delivered, and the remaining gas bombs will arrive in the next few days." "Very well, you go to rest." Charlotte Linlin nodded. She already felt sure. The next day, just before dawn, the dull and dense sound of gunfire broke the silence of the world. This battle, Marine sent 120 warships, and they were lined up on the sea, in a state of siege, and quickly approached the Isle of Thorns. In this battle, the three emperors also made up their minds, and it seemed that they did not intend to retreat, so they placed all the ships on both sides of the Island of Thorns, and defended the island in a zigzag shape. Looking at this situation, this is a decisive battle. The information that Sabo sent back from the front line was immediately passed on to Andre. This is a bit beyond Andre's expectations. After all, in Andre's budget, Charlotte Linlin will give Marine 2 more blood, including the Isle of Thorns. It was not until they retreated to the border area between the 4 emperors and the public waters that they stopped and fought back. But now the Island of Thorns has all the family background, which is unexpected. "Boss, did Charlotte Linlin find reinforcements? Could it be Lucas to help? After all, Thorns Island is not far from the Windless Belt. If West Blue's fleet wants to come over, this is indeed the best meeting point." "Impossible. If there is any movement in Lucas, we will know as soon as possible." "It's not Lucas, is it Vinsmoke?" "Vinsmoke has 2 fleets, one was destroyed in Iceland, and the other was able to defend North Blue. How could it come to the original Charlotte Linlin? Who would that be? Could it be Fold Yao? If it's really him, then what are we waiting for? We'll call in people now." All the vice captains talked about the possibility and the reason for Charlotte Linlin's decisive battle. But Andre knew very well that he believed that at such a time, neither Fold Yao nor Lucas would come into troubled waters. As for the reason, it's just that Andre knows them both as much as they know Andre. Lucas is now a wounded tiger. Others dare not provoke him, for fear that he will fight back when he is dying, and he cannot come out to cause trouble. Fold Yao is healthy, but he is the only guy who won't do such a thankless trade at a loss. Then, the reason for Charlotte Linlin's decisive battle is simple. It is estimated that she has obtained a secret weapon that can turn defeat into victory. It's interesting. Andre couldn't guess Charlotte Linlin's cards for a while, but it didn't matter, because the outcome of the 3 Emperors' alliance had nothing to do with them. Let's go to Mariajoy to set fire. Chapter 845 Simply a Rascal. What is superiority and what is superiority? Being superior is to build one's own happiness on the pain of others, while being superior is to have the right to wantonly trample on the lives and dignity of others. Tenryubito on Mariajoy has always thought of himself as a superior man, and rightfully superior. The world government is just a puppet they play with, and Marine is a dog that comes and goes. Except for puppets and dogs, all the people in this world are their playthings and slaves. However, their minds are dangerous, really dangerous. Because Andre attacked Mariajoy again with someone, This time the attack was very short, first killing, then setting fire, and the total time did not exceed 5 minutes. And 5 minutes later, Andrei took the people away, giving Tenryubito no time to react. Even more hateful is the timing of Andrei's sneak attack, which happened to be the time of the battle on the Isle of Thorns. Tenryubito gentlemen outside the Island of Thorns were enjoying the hand-to-hand battle with gusto, but suddenly bad news came from their family, and their wife and children were buried in the fire. This is undoubtedly a huge blow to the Tenryubito gentlemen. Of course, the responsibility for this matter should be handed over to Marine. Because the area where Andrei set the fire was less than a kilometer away from the Marine barracks. In this short distance, Marine not only did not discover the whereabouts of the Ark proverbs in advance, but also made Andrei swagger to escape. This is simply to be cut to the stomach and apologize to death. Akainu was also very helpless about this matter, but when Tenryubito attacked, he had no choice but to resign. But Tenryubito doesn't seem to be planning to spare Akainu this time. After all, this time, in the combined fleet, there were quite a few dudes of Tenryubito. These Tenryubitos were pampered and used to being lawless, so when they learned that their home had been burned, they came out of Akainu's tent angrily, and beat the soldiers outside the tent in front of Akainu's face. The skin of those seamen who were beaten was torn apart, the flesh on their backs was blurred, and even bones could be faintly seen. These Tenryubito's actions are very unreasonable, purely to vent their anger. But they don't need any reason, because in their eyes, those sea soldiers are just like the pariahs, and they just want to fight. Akainu did not resist and prevented the soldiers from resisting, because resistance would only invite greater conflict. As a result, the fighting that day was also forced to stop when Mariajoy was attacked and Tenryubito stormed the camp. Only 10 sailors were beaten, but this matter was not so easy to solve. The sailors bleed and sacrifice their lives for justice, but what did they get in return? Or maybe they deserve to be treated like this. Are we here just to please Tenryubito? Blooded young people, they are full of passion and courage. They can charge into battle and give their lives for justice and peace, but this humiliation makes their hearts burn with anger. Ernst Street naturally received a report from CP0. In CP0 Feet's report, there was a problem with the Navy's thinking. If it is not properly resolved, it is very likely to cause a mutiny. Thinking back to the Army mutiny, it was simply a disaster. But how to properly solve it? Punish those Tenryubito. Tenryubito, Saint Ernst naturally wants to safeguard the interests of Tenryubito. What's more, the joint fleet is to ensure the coexistence of interests. If this trivial matter leads to infighting, it will be more than the loss. As for whether the Navy will mutiny, to be honest, Ernst Street is not very worried. Because Marine dared to defect, their family members would not be able to survive. Tenryubito's interests can only be maintained by Tenryubito, and the emotions of those inferior people don't need to be concerned. Also inform Akainu that tomorrow I will send reinforcements to assist him, and I must destroy the pirates on the Isle of Thorns. Wait, let Akainu replace those garrison generals and double the sentries. Ernst Street dismissed this matter lightly. This kind of cold treatment method is not uncommon, and the effect is also there. After all, it only involved 10 sailors, so it would be fine to solve it privately. As for public opinion, it will fade as time goes by. The next day, the Great War broke out again on the Isle of Thorns. Today's island attack is different from yesterday's. This time, not only did Tenryubito come to assist, but also sent more supervisory teams. Only charge forward, not take a step back. The sergeant brandished his sword and scolded the Marines for charging forward. The attacking side's tingling, as the defending side naturally responds with cannonballs and bullets. A bloody battle is inevitable today. However, the sea soldiers screamed and attacked the island, and the bad news came again. Mariajoy has been attacked again. Andrei again. And already fled. Let Fire Fist Ace set the fire, and before leaving, he left some flammable bottles. Boom. Hearing a click, St. Ernst angrily smashed the table in front of him. The guards of St. Ernst could feel how annoyed their master was. André came and went like the wind, set off fire and ran away. Mariajoy would have no peace. And predictably, the flammable bottles André lost today were the beginning of a nightmare. Mariajoy, if there was a fire every once in a while. What annoyed Ernst Street even more was that they still had nothing to do with André. You must know that André is really ruthless. Fishman Island is such a rich place. He said that if he lost it, he would lose it, and he didn't feel bad at all. So Tenryubito didn't even have the chance to take revenge after Mariajoy was burned for the first time. And according to André's now nature, this guy is estimated to encourage Whitebeard to give up Alcalin Bay and truly call the sea his home. If Whitebeard had really given up on his territory, and had been with André and played hide and seek with Tenryubito at sea, then Tenryubito would have nothing to do with them. What's even more terrifying is that if you can't do anything about them, they can still disgust you all day long. I will slaughter you an island today, burn you a city tomorrow, give full play to the power of pirates, and strictly implement the spirit of pirates and run away. Anyway, the real pirates are very bachelors. They don't work in production, so it doesn't matter if they have a site or not. Anyway, if you don't eat or drink, you will go grab it, only if someone has a boat, and their fists are hard enough, they really can't starve to death. Chapter 846 Upstart Buggy. The men of the sea call the sea their home. Pirates are a special group. They are lawless, they do all evil, and they are also unrestrained. As long as the sea does not dry up and the heart does not stop beating, their journey will not end. André isn't interested in turf games, so he doesn't care about turf or anything. Because he knew that these things would become prisons and shackles, just like the current three sovereigns. The three emperors care too much about their power, territory and prestige, so their tactics are limited, and at the same time they lose the flexibility of pirates and the courage to be fearless. André is different. He can break into pieces at any time and spread his men into new worlds and windless belts. And the sea is so wide, and Tenryubito is not a god, so they can't do anything about André at all. What's more, as long as people are in ships, the hegemony of the sea is still in control. It is precisely because he has no scruples that André is so bold that he dares to pull Shisha on Tenryubito's head. André's approach made all the major forces in the world, including the three emperors who were busy fighting against Marine, all looked at him. André, this guy is so crazy. Yeah, over and over again to stimulate Tenryubito, hee. Does that guy really think Tenryubito is made of mud and can play whatever he wants? Maybe that's the difference between us and him. In the last sentence, Shanks said that he has been chasing André's footsteps. In the past, he was also a person who liked to take risks and explore unknown areas, but since the captain was framed, he vowed to clear it all. Staying while defeating André. In order to defeat André, Shanks was blinded by his strength, and even forgot his original intention of becoming a pirate. Just on a deformed road of revenge, constantly chasing André's footsteps. However, André attacked Mariajoy twice in a row, which has made him realize that the gap between him and André is not only the strength, but also the angle and height of looking at the problem, as well as the understanding of pirates. But even if you know the gap, if you want to change, or catch up again, I am afraid it is difficult to do it. Shanks finds that he will never catch up to André in his life, in every way. Charlotte Linlin noticed the change in his mentality from Shanks, but she was in the middle of a fierce battle, and she couldn't let an André shake the heart of the army. But anyway, André's doing this will only aggravate Tenryubito's attitude towards the pirates. Hatred, tomorrow will be the most difficult battle. The toughest fight, that's what you want. Shanks clenched his fists. He longed for tomorrow's battle, because only by fighting with Tenryubito in an upright manner, can the stains on his body be washed away and the spirit of a pirate can be regained, and he also believes that the captain will never be afraid any challenge, let alone look ahead. As long as you identify the goal, you will bravely move forward. Charlotte Linlin didn't understand what Shanks was thinking, but she was relieved to see that he didn't want to avoid the fight. At the same time, she will also arrange H2S gas bombs as the secret weapon of tomorrow's war. On the 11th day of the Battle of the Isle of Thorns, the drums of war were like thunder, and the ears were endless. Combined fleet and marine fleet dispatched together. This time, hundreds of battleships were densely lined up on the sea, and the naval guns were already aimed at the fleet of the three emperors on the opposite side. Today, we must destroy these pirates, and leave none of them. Tenryubito is no longer willing to delay. They have made a revenge plan at the parliament last night. That is the bloodbath of the New World, including the Gulf of Alcalin. On any captured island, the adult men and women on the island will be hanged, and all of them will be taken back as slaves. The purpose of this is very simple, that is, to clean up the remainders of all pirates, so as to repay the blood debt. Of course, if you do this, it will definitely bring disaster to a large number of innocent people, but this is all provoked by Andrei, and those untouchables should blame Andrei. In the face of a fleet that was several times larger than his own, there was a riot in the fleet of the three emperors. Although the number of three-masted wooden sailing clippers is not small, but compared with Marine's strong ship and sharp guns, it is really overpowering. Fire! 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 After a round of shelling, the artillery immediately corrected the range and reloaded. I have to say that after being honed in several wars, the artillery of these old soldiers of the combined fleet is really accurate. In this round of shelling, at least more than 30 wooden ships were sunk, and more than 10 ironclad ships were shot and smoked. Charlotte Linlin is not blind, she knows the gap between herself and the enemy at a glance. But never mind, she has a secret weapon. Mom, our poison gas has been prepared, and the island and the battleship are full. As long as the battle begins, it will be the end of Marine and Tenryubito. Perospero said in a low voice. Very good. Charlotte Linlin knew that her eldest son was reliable, so she didn't ask for details. However, Comrade Caesar was ruthless in his heart. He had been planning to escape, but now that he was being held by Charlotte Linlin's side, it was too difficult to get away from her under her nose. As the so-called fear of what to come. Marine and the combined fleet gained an advantage in the artillery battle, so they couldn't wait to rush over. It seemed that they wanted to kill the three emperors' fleet in one go and end the war. At the same time, they were also worried that the three emperors' fleet would retreat and the war would go on. Procrastination. However, Charlotte Linlin was waiting for this moment. Get ready for a battle. Oh! The pirates of the three emperors' fleet held all swords and spears, with fierce eyes, waiting for the enemy who was about to attack. A mere pariah, aren't you honestly waiting for death? The Tenryubitos grinned, and they couldn't wait to witness the spectacular sight of pirate heads filling the beach. The two steel torrents collided, and the tragic landing battle kicked off. At this moment, in the east of the battlefield, a huge fleet slowly approached. The number of this fleet is huge, and the flags are even more varied, with as many as 1,000 ships. Today is the day my Uncle Buggy is famous all over the world. What Whitebeard, what tyrant, what 4 emperors, no one should underestimate my king of clowns. At this time, Buggy stepped on the side of the ship, wearing a captain's hat, a dark red cloak, a sword and a Hegan fire gun across his waist, and a jewelry necklace hanging around his neck, looking like a nouveau riche. Chapter 847 Captain Buggy is on the way. See Circle Calendar at the end of 1520, this day is like an April Fool's Day for the whole world. One of the 4 emperors, Bigmom Charlotte Linlin made a big joke to the whole world. Because on this day, at the moment when the Isle of Thorns war entered a decisive battle, she used some strange gas mixed with unknown things to confuse the combined fleet. Although Charlotte Linlin has always insisted that she used H2S gas, except for the gas that killed 3,000 or 4,000 soldiers at first, the gas released later did not have such a strong lethality. These gases are mixed with ammonia and nitrogen, which are the main components of farts, and, of course, a small amount of toxic chlorine, but Caesar's stockpile of chlorine is too small, so this mixture is at best the people will feel nauseated or suffocated when they smell it, but it cannot be fatal on the spot. Of course, it's not the funniest. The most hilarious thing is that the combined fleet was attacked on the flank, and the man who ambushed them turned out to be Buggy. A clown who was active before the Battle of Tierra del Fuego and escaped before the outbreak of the Battle of Tierra del Fuego actually became a pirate hero who turned the tide. Mention Tenryubito. Even Andre couldn't believe that Buggy would appear at this time and dare to attack Tenryubito. In fact, Buggy himself didn't understand it, just like Impel Down in the original OP. Buggy rescued a large group of prisoners in a daze, and then went with the flow to become the hidden big man in the top war. And this time too. After being expelled from Alcalin Bay by Andre's fleet, Buggy planned to hide in the windless belt to avoid Tenryubito's edge. However, the news from the front line made Buggy's heart itch again. Because there are not many top-level combat powers in the Marine headquarters, if you defeat Marine at this time, it will be difficult not to be famous in the world. And from the Battle of Tierra del Fuego, the Battle of the Grim Islands, to the Battle of the Isle of Thorns. In these battles, Tenryubito did not intend to take action, and seemed to be waiting for Marine to clear the obstacle, and save his strength for attacking Andre and Whitebeard. At this time, Buggy's mind became active. He thought that if he could cut off Akainu, or one of the Admiral's heads, and hide in the windless belt, when the war was over, and when the powerful Andre were dead, then he is the most prestigious pirate in this new world. Buggy is so calculated, of course, he can't go like a bachelor, so he has to pull the back-end cannon fodder. Perhaps it was Buggy's conqueror luck that helped a lot. As soon as he said he was going to find Marine and Tenryubito, the pirates responded to his call and formed an alliance spontaneously, and elected Buggy as the leader. Buggy didn't expect such a situation, it was simply raking grass and beating rabbits, and he subdued this group of pirates in a confused way. And in this way, Buggy is really developed. Today Buggy's alliance consists of 17 fleets and alliances, nearly 100 pirate groups, and more than 1,000 clippers. It has suddenly become the largest fleet in the New World, comparable to the largest nouveau riche in history. Moreover, there are so many people and great power. With such a large alliance rushing to the battlefield, Buggy's ambition is not to kill one or two admirals. Or maybe God is helping Buggy, or maybe his luck is really good. Before Buggy's raid, the sea was windy, cloudy, the sky and earth were dark, and the visibility at sea was extremely low. Plus the chaos created by Charlotte Linlin's poison gas. Weather, the right place, the people. The Buggy guy has it all. So in this naval battle, Tenryubito was slapped so hard that he was forced to return to Mariajoy. It's just that the New World is not something you can come and leave when you want. The Three Emperors' fleet, which suffered heavy casualties, and Buggy's fleet were in hot pursuit, beating down the drowning dogs and chasing them all the way. The combined fleet that finally escaped back to Mariajoy was left with only 167 warships, and Marine's casualties were even more serious. Because Marine was responsible for the breakup, the number of casualties was even more shocking. When we returned to Marineford, there were only 77 warships left, and basically everyone was injured. The huge casualties forced Akainu to postpone the plan, temporarily abandoning the idea of moving the headquarters to the New World. Although Tenryubito was annoyed, they had no intention of continuing the fight, because they were determined not to fight Andre until they had cleared the trash fish, not to mention they had to be prepared for a possible sneak attack from Andre. When the war is over, it is natural to have a banquet to celebrate after the war. This is the custom and habit of pirates. The venue of the banquet was naturally selected at Dalbonnel, and the time was set on the first day of the new year. As the new owner, Buggy boarded Darbonnel and planted his flag in the highest and most conspicuous place. Well, ha 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 ha. Looking at his flag flying at the top, Buggy laughed complacently. This day was like a dream. At this time, a group of pirates forced their way onto the main island. This group of people was fierce and powerful, and the pirates who were responsible for guarding the main island pier did not stop them for a while. Buggy is naturally not annoyed when he knows that someone has forced his way onto the island. After all, Darborn is his territory now, and he now has thousands of ships under his command. Who would dare to stare at him? The people on the island were wearing cigars, wearing bearskin coats, and stepping on shiny leather shoes. Every step they took, they were extremely arrogant. Buggy, I heard that you have become the overlord of the New World, congratulations. Every time the man took a step closer, the surrounding pirates all took a small step back. Buggy frowned and looked at the person who came. Sand Crocodile, what are you doing on my site? I just returned to the New World and I want to find a place to settle down. Let's see if you can arrange a place for me and my men to settle down. Behind Shaw Crocodile, the sharp blades on Mr. Point 1 feet's hands have been covered with armament hockey, and Mr. Point 3 feet's hands have been waxed. Buggy now doesn't need to pretend to be crazy and sell stupid, and he doesn't need to snort. He now wants people and ships, so he walks towards the Sand Crocodile with the majesty of the superior. His hands are detached from his arms, and then in the eyes of everyone, he uses both hands pressed on Shaw Crocodile's shoulder. Are you coming to join me? Ha 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 ha. Sand Crocodile chuckled, then put his hand on Buggy's shoulder. What if I said no? Chapter 848 Both Seniority and Strength. Take your hands off. What if I don't? Did you come here on purpose today? I'm just here to look at Captain Buggy's glory, that's all. Before Buggy could make a move, he heard a loud shout from beside him. It's unreasonable to dare to disrespect our boss. After saying that, the man drew his knife and slashed at Sand Crocodile. But Shaw Crocodile didn't move, because Mr. One behind him shot first. The two of you came and went, the blade ripped apart the air, made a sharp piercing sound, and the fight was quite wonderful. Moreover, both of them knew that although they were fighting themselves, they represented their own bosses. Therefore, this fight must be divided, and even bloodshed. As for whether it can be stopped, it is not them. I can control it. However, Mr. Point 1 feet's skills are still superior. Although he has just mastered hockey not long ago, his fighting technique is really strong, and with the help of fruit ability, he naturally has an advantage. Buggy's subordinates are not weak, he is weaker after all. Slap. Buggy's face sank as the first drop of blood fell to the ground. Stop. Buggy lowered his voice, calling to stop the fighting. At this time, Mr. One looked at Shaw Crocodile, who nodded at him, signaling to stop here. Let's sit in it. After all, you were once a big pirate, but you are qualified to sit in it. After Buggy finished speaking, he turned around, took a step, and walked towards the center of the venue without looking back. The location of Huichang Center was once reserved for Andre, Whitebeard, Charlotte Linlin, Kaido, Shanks and others. Now that no one cares about it here, Buggy has to sit in Andre's seat of course. Sand Crocodile looked around, then sat in Whitebeard's seat. Now that there are so many empty seats, who are you going to let sit here? Shaw Crocodile suddenly spoke, which sounded a little awkward at first, but soon the Buggy Alliance began to whisper. After all, they used to sit in economy class, and this, first class, seat was so close for the first time. Buggy glanced at Shaw Crocodile coldly and said, I asked you to sit here, not to make trouble for me. Shaw Crocodile didn't care about Buggy's threatening eyes, he still went his own way. There are not many powerful people sitting here, so the gold content of your so-called leader of the Pirate League is too low. Then who do you think is suitable to sit here? Buggy's face was not good, he naturally knew that there was no heavyweight person sitting in the seat, so he, the Pirate League, had nothing to show. But who has weight, who will accept Buggy? And the position of the leader of the Pirate League, was Buggy really grabbed it by himself? Andre and Whitebeard didn't want to, so they quit playing. The same goes for the three sovereigns. They are no longer interested in the now-named Pirate Alliance. After all, the Pirate Alliance is full of trash, and there are few powerful factions. Therefore, even if they annex the Pirate Alliance, it would be of no benefit to them. Lao Kai, the pillar of the 13th generation of Hapo Navy, he just took over the position of pillar of Hapo Navy, and you know Qinzhao is a person. If Lao Kai is not strong enough, he will not be awarded the position of pillar, not to mention that he is in the land of fire. The Battle of the Island and the Battle of the Grim Islands have outstanding performances. Quote. The 13th generation pillar. That's okay. Buggy had been in contact with Qinzhao before, so his face is still to be given. The Warden Londoner, you are familiar with this name, right? Didn't that guy retire? Even Qinzhao can come back, so why can't Londona? If he really wants to come back, he does have this qualification. After all, before he was defeated by Whitebeard, he was also very strong and famous. Buggy nodded again. This Londoner used to be the warden of a certain country in North Blue. He had a brutal personality and was famous for abusing prisoners. He was also good at using double whips and was proficient in the family's fighting technique. His personal strength should not be underestimated. Brad Mantley, the White Lion. Brad Mantley. Golden Lion's adopted son. With the fame of Golden Lion, his adopted son's qualifications are definitely enough. Count him in. Buggy rubbed Same Shui, and he wondered, where did Sha Crocodile find these candidates with both qualifications and strength? However, Buggy did not object to the joining of these people, because only the members of the Alliance were strong enough to set off his status as the leader of the Alliance. But the next person Sha Crocodile recommended, Buggy frowned. Because what Sandy Crocodile recommends is Avengers Kid. Boa Sandersonia, the boss of the 9 Snake Pirates. Needless to say, Kid was Andre's apprentice. Who is Boa Sandersonia, the boss of the 9 Snakes? That's Andre's sister-in-law. If these two guys are allowed to enter the Alliance, who is the Alliance listening to? Buggy is self-aware. Don't look at what he doesn't want now, but it's based on Andre's ignoring him. If Andre really cares about these trivial things with him, then his throne as the leader of the Alliance is not hot at all. I don't need to say Kid, you should know how strong he is and how strong his Avengers are. Buggy knew what he knew, and he didn't intend to sit down and talk politely now. He just stood up, his eyes were wide open, and he glared at Sha Crocodile. Did Andre let you come? When the pirates around saw Buggy getting angry, they all picked up the guy one after another, staring fiercely at Crocodile Sand and his men. Sha Crocodile shook his head and said with a look of regret, Captain Buggy, it's not your first day as a pirate, don't you understand the rules of the New World? If you want to steal the highest position without paying anything, you think it's possible? Or is that how Roger became One Piece, King of Pirates? Buggy ignored Sha Crocodile's words, his eyes bloodshot at this time, and he was obviously hostile to those who wanted to steal his throne. I'll ask you again if Andre asked you to say this. Sand Crocodile raised his feet, half lying on the chair, lit a cigar swayingly, and blew out a smoke ring, and then said slowly, although it's not what you think, but I think Andre hopes in this way. After all, he is very controlling, he wants everything under control. What do you think? Chapter 849 Oro Plus and Pure Gold. Buggy is having a good time in Darbanelle now, and the fact that he invited Sandersonia has naturally reached Andre's ears. In this regard, Andre didn't say anything. Anyway, this alliance has no meaning to him, so it doesn't matter if you want it or not. But Andre was interested in Sand Crocodile. How could this guy suddenly come to the New World? Do you also want to take advantage of the chaos in the New World, and take advantage of the chaos tilde to get a bargain? But since you want to pick up cheap, why pull Kid and Sandersonia? Andre can't figure it out. Comrade Crocodile is also a mysterious character now. Interesting, looks like I should talk to him. On Andre's side, he was determined to go out, but before he could leave, his little brother Tessero hurried to the door. The purpose of Tessero's visit this time was to ask Andre for support. This makes Andre curious, because although Tesoro is Andre's younger brother on the surface, in the new world, Tesoro has his own territory and network, and even in his field, he is still number one. Even at the top of the world government, Tesoro has quite a wide range of contacts. Therefore, Tesoro almost never turned to Andre for assistance. "Brother, you must help me this time." As soon as Tesoro came in, he was full of anger, as if someone owed him hundreds of billions of Baileys and didn't pay it back. Although the acting was the majority, I have to say that this guy still played well. What happened? Andre and Team Zero were enjoying the annual tribute from the casino, so he listened patiently to Tesoro's demands. There was a girl named Oroga who was taken by CP0. CP0, do you still care about CP0? With your means and financial resources, wouldn't it be better to just find someone to kill them? Behind CP0 is Tenryubito. Even if it is me, I can't rob someone from Tenryubito. Tesoro felt guilty now. He didn't dare to offend Tenryubito easily at such a time. After all, the torture platform on the Sabayati archipelago had left a deep impression on him. Andre frowned and asked, "Where are they now? Are they at Mariajoy?" "Not yet, but passing through Charlotte Linlin's territory, and I heard that Tenryubito seems to have reached some agreement with Charlotte Linlin, so Charlotte Linlin allowed them to pass." "What do you mean? Charlotte Linlin and Tenryubito colluded?" "Probably not, they just finished the war." "Brother, what is there to trust in this troubled world? Every day, people are betrayed and betrayed by people they trust. And as long as there are interests, it is not impossible to temporarily let go of grudges." "That's true, Charlotte Linlin might have colluded with Tenryubito." Andre nodded, agreeing with Tesoro's statement. "Then what are you going to do?" "Let me send someone to help you get them back." "Brother, is there any difference between you sending someone to do it and I'll find someone to do it myself?" "Can't rob. It really can't be robbed. Tenryubito is too strong now. If they destroy my territory, then everything I have will be gone." Andre is indeed a little worried. It was originally a small matter, but how did it become a problem? But Tesoro is not Andre. He is not as free and easy as Andre, but it is not difficult to understand, who made that entertainment city he worked so hard to get down. If it is lost, it is really a widowed dead son, nothing is left. Then what do you want to do? Andre was obviously a little impatient. Could it be that he asked him to negotiate with Tenryubito and said to them, "Save face and let people go"? Tesoro hesitated for a while, and finally said, "Brother, do you have anything in your hands that is not related to you? If possible, it is best to have a hostile force and let them take Oro Plus, so that we can get rid of suspicion." Quote. Hostile forces. How do you want to be hostile? Like Fold Yao? No, that's too much trouble. Tesoro shook his head hurriedly. He didn't want to confront Fold Yao, because it was purely to make trouble for himself. Andre thought for a while, then said, "Is Sand Crocodile okay? I just happen to be looking for him too. If I can, then I'll let him do it." Sand Alligator. Tesoro made a comparison in his mind. He felt that Sand Crocodile should be able to handle it himself, so he nodded. "By the way, what's that Oroga for?" Andre asked casually. "Brother, have you forgotten the pure gold I mentioned to you before?" Pure gold. It seems that there is indeed. It can delay cell growth and alleviate human aging. Pure gold. Anti-aging. Andre patted his forehead, as if Tesoro had mentioned this before. "So, that girl has something to do with pure gold." "Yes, that girl knows how to get to the fabled island where there is pure gold." Tesoro didn't plan to take the pure gold by himself, because he knew that even if he wanted to take it alone, he would not have the ability, and now Tenryubito is also working on the idea of pure gold. Can't keep it. It turns out that this girl is really going to get her hands on it. Andre weighed the pros and cons. He has temporarily lost the tax tribute from Fishman Island, so the tax tribute from the entertainment city is more important to the Zero team, so the entertainment city cannot be affected. Just wait for news on this matter, I will handle it. Andre sent Tessero, and went to Green Island on the Ark Proverbs. Green Island is located on the southwest side of the public waters. It used to be the site of the Pioneer Alliance, but several leaders of the Pioneer Alliance had their heads beheaded, so even the islands and sea areas were divided up by other small groups. However, Comrade Crocodile returned to the New World with his younger brother for a while, and naturally grabbed this piece of land. The population of Green Island is not dense, but the supplies are okay, and it is no problem to feed the younger brothers of Comrade Crocodile. Crocodile is quite satisfied with the current environment, at least he can take root with Green Island and slowly plot his hegemony in the future. It's just that hegemony has not yet taken the first step, and the bad guys come to the door. Of course, for most of the pirates in the New World, Andre's visit is really not a good thing. Particular, Comrade Crocodile wisely recommended Sandersonia and Kid to sit on the senior seat of the Pirate League not long ago. Chapter 850. This is the love and care of the boss for the younger brother. Crocodile, your place is too broken, there are no tables and chairs, and the roof is leaking. Stains, look at this hall, it's broken like a beggar's nest. Andre, are you here to scold me? Sand Crocodile was only 5 meters away from Andre when he kept staring at Andre's back. Andre, on the other hand, turned the back of his head to him, teasing the fallen of his new stronghold. And not far from the two, Comrade Crocodile's younger brothers have been controlled. They can't move, they don't dare to move, because standing beside them are notorious big men, such as Executioners Cruel Roads and Shiryu of the Rain. PFF'd, Andre blew at a broken vase, and then discarded the broken vase boringly. I'm just curious, why don't you continue to be your Shichibukai? It stands to reason that when Tenryubito is employing people, the world government is not you will care about previous records, even if you have ambitions to get involved in ancient weapons. Quote. Do you think I'm an undercover agent from the world government? Or a spy from them? It shouldn't be, and if you were really an undercover agent and a spy, then I don't need to waste my time here. Then what are you doing here? Go after Kid and Sandersonia. No, I'm not that boring, and the kids are all grown up, and I can't control it anymore. Andre shook his head helplessly, then snapped his fingers. Domino and Violet, who were behind Andrew, immediately directed the maids to bring in tables, chairs, wine and meat. Sit down and talk, it's been a while since Alabasta left. As Andre said, he raised his hand to greet Carlos and the others. Come here, all sit down, it's time to eat, drink, and the band, let's make a fuss. Shah Crocodile was watching Andre's solo performance from beginning to end. He became more and more puzzled, and he couldn't understand what medicine Andre was selling in this gourd. But at Andre's invitation, he sat down. Crocodile, remember the bet I made with you? The bet? Yes, a bet. Andre threw the wine glass in his hand into the sky, and then caught it firmly, but because of some force majeure, that bet was cancelled, so I want to bet with you again. What do you want to bet on? Sand Crocodile continued with a deadpan expression. If you lose, get me something back. Just the same thing. Andre smiled and nodded. You have no joke. Okay, what do you want to bet on? Shah Crocodile had no objection, or he knew that he was in front of Andre and had no qualifications to object. Sister Control, shall I? Following Andre's call, the two put down their wine and meat and stood up one after another. Andre put his chin in one hand, and said to Shah Crocodile with a playful expression, you can choose one of them, as long as you win, I will lose. This kind of silly joke, you don't want to do it again. Shah Crocodile didn't want to fight with the two of them. It wasn't that he was afraid, it was just that he felt that the fight was pointless, and even if it was won, it would be no good. What's more, Luyu's ability itself restrains him, and Enel's thunder is Logia with the strongest attack power, which is not fair at all. That's when you gave in. Andre's expression was dull. Tell me, What do you want me to do? There's a girl named Orogia. She's in CP0 Feet's hands now. I want you to snatch her over. It's that simple. Don't worry, I haven't finished my words yet. Andre yawned, then continued. After you find her, you take her to the legendary island, and the pure gold on the island, I want it. Sha Crocodile was stunned for a moment. Pure gold. What is that? A thing that can delay the aging of the body. It can be said to be a treasure for eternal youth, and this treasure should of course belong to me. Is there such a treasure? Sha Crocodile was moved. Why don't you send someone to do it yourself? Didn't I send you there? I'm not your servant. Who knows, maybe soon. You're still as rascal as ever. Then please. Andre got up, then snapped his fingers. Domino understood, and immediately arranged for Andre's guard to come over with a few boxes prepared in advance. The box contains 2 devil fruits, going jewels worth 1 billion Baileys, and a small box of seastone bullets. Is this my reward? Sha Crocodile looked down at the things in the box, and his younger brothers were all stunned. This was the first time they saw so many treasures after entering the new world. This is the love and care of the boss for the younger brother. You should be grateful for Dade's acceptance. After Andre finished speaking, he directly climbed the Arc Proverbs. Carlos followed Andre, when he asked inexplicably, Boss, did we just leave like this? Do you want to stay here for the night? Andre asked rhetorically. But we came this time, shouldn't we? What should I do? Xingxi asks for guilt. This. Carlos choked for a moment. He actually wanted to say, if he didn't come to ask his guilt, would he still come to see his old friend? Crocodile is not cheap enough to be an undercover agent for the government, and I've just listened to his heartbeat and breathing, which are normal and don't seem like a sign of guilty conscience, but the more so, the more interesting he is. The purpose of the world is really intriguing. HMPH, I hope he can bring me some fun and expectations. Quote. After Andre finished speaking, he nodded to Enel, who understood and immediately urged the Arc Proverbs to leave Green Island. As Andre left, Sand Crocodile looked at the reward on the ground. Sand Crocodile knew that Andre wanted to subdue him, but even if he wanted to subdue him, it would be after he became a younger brother. Right now, he is still a free man, and he is also qualified to fight for hegemony. So Andre is doing this, isn't he funding the enemy? And also directly tell the magical ability of pure gold. Does Andre really have the confidence to keep me in his control? Chapter 852 Weird Ace. In the cloudy sky, kites and crows fluttered wildly in flocks. Andre stood on the bow, feeling the icy wind blowing on his face, and basking in the not-so-warm sun. Alcalon Bay is relatively quiet today, except for the sometimes mischievous waves that lap against the shore in layers, stirring up waves of white spray to create some sound. Carlos and others were all dispatched to perform their respective missions, and there was no news from Sha Crocodile, and there was no one on deck to speak to Andre at this time. Andre felt a little bored. He was considering whether he should go back to his home city. At least in the home city, he could still enjoy the luxurious and depraved life of wine, meat and forest. But since Nami and Robin came to the city one after another, and there were more women in the city, he wanted to be quiet again. But the price of being quiet is boredom. In short, Andre wants someone to accompany him, but he doesn't want others to disturb him, which is quite contradictory. At this moment, the sound of footsteps came from behind. The footsteps Andre was familiar with, and he was right that he didn't come here often. Anything, Ace. Andre didn't turn around. I want to have a fight with you, Ace said calmly. Are you learning from each other? Competition until the winner. It's going to hurt, I'm going to hit harder. I don't care. Ace's insistence made Andre have to be moved. At this time, he turned around and glanced at Ace, as if he wanted to see the reason why he was fighting with him, but Ace was calm now, without any publicity in the past. The calm eyes are like a slowly flowing stream, which is really unpredictable. Andre hesitated for a moment, then agreed, now then. Ace had a duel with Andre, but it wasn't rumored. Andre didn't want Ace to lose face in front of others. Although it was normal to be abused by him, he still saved face for him out of consideration. The resistance of the duel was not in Alcalon Bay, but on a desert island. Let's get started. Andre hooked his fingers at Ace. Ace nodded, and then assumed a stance. This stance was Fire Phoenix Fist, an adaptation of Light Phoenix Fist. I don't know which shipwreck the Phoenix Fist came from. Marco once practiced it, and later taught it to Ace. Ace's understanding of boxing is more inclined to the proficiency of the moves and the coherence of the moves. Therefore, after combining the characteristics of Phoenix Fist and his own fruit ability, Ace improved himself a set of Fire Phoenix Fist. It's interesting. Andre didn't underestimate Ace, nor did he intend to use his fruit power to bully the children, so he put on the posture of Dragon Claw Fist, which was regarded as helping Ace to improve his fighting technique. Ah! With a low growl, Ace rushed towards Andre first, this time from stillness to movement, turning from the stream into flames. Feng Feng Liao Yuan. In an instant, Ace opened his arms and ignited a raging fire at the same time. Under this fiery flame, his arms moved with his body, like a phoenix bird spreading its wings and flying high. Wherever he passed, the earth a raging flame is ignited. This move is inherently weird, but with the speed of Ace's hard training and the use of shaving, Ace's figure is even more difficult to capture. In just a split second, Ace slipped through Andre's armpit, leaving a scorch in front of Andrexiong. Interesting move, but still too weak. Andre shook his head, then patted away the burnt black on Chang's front t-shirt. Huang Lai cross fist. Ace's fists crossed, and suddenly, a cross-shaped flame suddenly blasted towards Andre. Of course, this is not just pure flame attack. Because Ace is very clear, with Andre's armament hockey cultivation base, simple elemental attacks have no effect on him. Boom! Andre blocked the incoming flames with one hand, but the flames contained a strong strength, trying to push Andre back. It's getting more and more fun. Andre's expression finally turned serious, and then the vacant dragon claw slammed forward fiercely. Void seemed to be shattered by Andre's waving dragon claws, and the air was torn with a sharp sound. Boom! Under the domineering grip, the flames collapsed in an instant. At this time, Ace had already pulled the distance between him and Andre. From knowing Andre to witnessing Andre's battles, Ace understands that if he wants to defeat Andre, he must be better than him in fighting technique. Bang bang bang. Sparks scattered, and although the Fire Fist's offensive was defeated by the dragon's claws again and again, each time it was condensed, the power was even stronger than before. The boxing is good, it seems that you have worked hard, but it is not enough. Andre stomped on the ground after blocking Ace's attack. Immediately, the ground cracked open, and the mud where Ace was standing suddenly cracked. Ace's reaction was not slow, because Andre had taught him this kind of combat skills. Seeing Ace, who was not retreating but advancing, Andre showed a smile on the corner of his mouth, then stepped on the ground again with his right foot, and a shave disappeared in front of Ace. Behind you. Ace's observation hockey helped him locate Andre. However, knowing Andre's position was one thing, whether or not the body could respond adequately was another. Andre raised his hand to be a claw. This claw is like a dragon in the sea, and one claw has the power to tear the sea. Ace raised his left arm and hurriedly gathered Armament Hockey to resist. However, Armament Hockey, who had gathered in a hurry, was too vulnerable in front of Andre. A claw fell, and Ace had been knocked out heavily, and there were several more terrifying bloodstains in his mouth. These bloodstains penetrated deeply into the muscles, as if they had been cut with a knife, and the cut muscle layers were clearly visible. Ace looked down at Chang's mouth, and knew that Andre had kept his hand. Why do you need to release water? If you want to beg for death, then I can make up for it. Andre came to Ace at this moment, paw on his forehead. But Ace closed his eyes, as if he wanted to die, because his eyelids didn't blink. What's wrong? Andre withdrew his hand and asked with a frown. He thought Ace was weird today, and it wasn't ordinary. Nothing. Ace shook his head, then turned to leave. Looking at Ace's back, Andre frowned and muttered, "Did this kid take the wrong medicine?" Chapter 853 Nirvana Against Loli. Ace's bizarre behavior led Andre to find Marco and Josu in private. Marco and Josu don't know much about this either. After all, the new world is in turmoil now. Compared with the original fixed pattern, the new world is simply a chaotic Sengoku era that is attacking each other. And in order to guard against Tenryubito, they also strengthened their patrols. After all, there were spies sneaking in a few days ago. Khalifa. Andre didn't want to investigate the matter too high profile, so he brought in Khalifa and asked her to investigate the matter privately. Khalifa is now a professional, so it only took one day to find out what was going on and tell Andre about it. It turns out that this is who is behind it. The source is still under investigation, and there are no clues for now. Well, keep a low profile. Don't let Dad know that it's the saddest thing for him to be feuding with his opponents. I know what to do. Well, go check it out. Andre waved off Khalifa. Andre wasn't surprised that someone was spreading rumors about Ace and that he was Roger's bastard son. After all, this method of sowing discord has been seen in the original OP, but at that time it was Sengoku and Akainu who did it. And now, there are more suspects. Maybe CP0 under Tenryubito, or it may be the Ministry of Foreign Affairs directly under the world government, or it may be Marine. A Fold Yawu making troubles is not ruled out. Although this kind of thing is disgusting, but after all, it is a petty fight. Do you want to break up the Whitebeard pirates? Then Andre just wanted to say that these people were too young and childish. However, Ace does have too few achievements and contributions. Although his strength is not weak, he still needs to hone his position if he wants to secure his position as captain. Andre thought about it for a night, and finally decided to let Ace go outside to practice. Of course, what Ace took away was the second team, imitating the Zero team, establishing meritoriousness and spreading bravery in the form of an independent foreign team. Whitebeard did not object to this matter. In fact, he also saw that there was a discordant factor in the family, but he did not say it. First, it was a test for the children, and secondly, he wanted to find out spies and undercover agents. But Andre proposed to let Ace go out, so Whitebeard naturally had nothing to object to. After all, if young people rely too much on the protection of their elders, they will not grow up. After Ace left with the second team, Andre also received news from Shaw Crocodile. Sand Crocodile has taken Olga and her Mount Elizabeth from CP0. It's just that Olga was not very cooperative and refused to take him to the legendary island in search of pure gold. Meanwhile, Shaw Crocodile also said that CP0 is tracking his whereabouts and he hopes to get support. After all, Comrade Crocodile doesn't have the strength to fight Tenryubito alone. Andre thought about it for a while, but decided to go there himself. If he was there, it would be absolutely foolproof. And in order to hunt for treasure, he took a professional consultant with him. Olga can eat, she eats as much as Bonnie has. When Andre met Olga, she was eating and drinking. Olga snickered while chewing the meat. This big man seems to be very powerful, and he looks more deceitful than the smoking man with facial paralysis. We're right next to you, we heard what you said. Robin reminded Olga little Loli in a low voice. Olga's little Loli then covered her mouth, her eyes were rolling, and she glanced at Andre and Shaw Crocodile from time to time. I'm not talking about you, really. Does this guy really know the whereabouts of pure gold? Comrade Crocodile walked up behind Andre with a dark face, obviously annoyed by his time with Olga these days. And Olga's little Loli is really good to him. The nicknames given to him are one a day, and there are no heavy things at all, such as dead fish eyes, facial paralyzed man, zombie man, cold-faced monster. Several times, Shaw Crocodile tried to fix this little Loli. Don't ask me, I don't know either. Andrei shook his head helplessly. Before he came to this world, he never saw Olga and Tessero appear. As for the magical pure gold, I have never heard of it. Ghosts know if it exists. Okay, I'll leave it to you here. I'll go out and get some air. Comrade Crocodile was obviously fed up with the most vicious little loli, so after Andrei was in charge of the interrogation, he just threw his hands away. Little boy, how old are you this year? You're young. What? Listen, I'm 200 years old this year. 200 years old. Andrei's heart was like 10,000 grass and mud horses galloping past. If it was Gulliver, he would believe it, but this kid in front of him is 200 years old. What the hell are you talking about? At this time Robin reminded Andrei. She probably didn't lie, look at her clothes. Clothes. Andrei glanced down at Olga. At this time, Olga put his arms around Shang and snorted softly, what are you looking at? I didn't see any beautiful women. The emblem on her t-shirt, which was the hallmark of El Kami 200 years ago, was the destination of our trip. After Robin said this, Andrei tentatively believed that Olga was a long shelf-life loli over 200 years old, and then he squatted down and used the trump card against loli, touching the head to kill. Then do you know the whereabouts of pure gold? Andrei asked while stroking Olga's head. Olga doesn't seem to resist Andrei's head-to-head killing. Although he is older, he is still a Lolita in essence. Of course I know, otherwise why are so many people arresting me? Oh, since you know the whereabouts of pure gold, can you take me to find it? But pure gold is limited. If I take you to find it, and the guy with the mask takes it away halfway, what should I do? If that's the case, then I might as well cooperate with the guy with the mask. Olga's little loli held her cheeks and reasoned like Conan. Your concerns are justified, but I don't think they would have the guts to approach me. After Andrei finished speaking, he got up and fired a punch. This punch exploded the air in an instant, and after being squeezed by the pressure of the punch, it shattered half of the island. Now you won't be worried. Andrei smiled, stroking Olga's head. No, don't worry, of course I won't worry anymore, hee. Olga's words became unnatural, and he muttered at the same time, if I knew this guy was so scary, then I might as well cooperate with the masked one, at least there is a chance to steal it. Pure gold, now trying to steal pure gold from this big man, it seems to have a good plan. I heard everything you just said. Chapter 854 Changebackers. It's just an out-of-date pirate, what are you pulling? Burgess, keep your voice down. If the Shadow King's subordinates can hear it, it will be troublesome. Hey, if you want to fight, then I'll accompany you anytime. Burgess, Oka, don't talk to the two of you, our boss is already annoying enough. From the words of the three, the cause of their quarrel was Moria. Fortunately, after Lafayette moved out of Teach's name, the two finally stopped arguing. Teach on crutches. At this time, Teach was sitting on the edge of the cliff, his legs were swaying, and at first glance, he thought he wanted to jump. But people who know Teach know that he is the most cherished of life, so he doesn't have the courage to commit suicide. Oh, another day has passed. Looking at the slowly setting sun, Teach suddenly felt a burst of emptiness and loneliness. He didn't want much. At present, his plan was to have a place of his own and a group of loyal men. Even such a small goal cannot be achieved. Seeing the tide recede, he felt more and more that life was short. Although the ambition is still there, time is fleeting and time is passing. Can he really realize his ambition? Admittedly, Teach also knew that Foldyawu was trying to boil him, or to test him, just like an eagle, to slowly boil away his ambitions and edges and make him obedient. But Teach is not the kind of person who gives up easily, let alone in the Whitebeard pirates who have been acting stupid for decades. Do you still care about the torment of this little time? It's just that it's different here from the Whitebeard pirates. Because Foldyao and Whitebeard are not the same kind of people at all. Foldyao was terribly deceitful, and Teach couldn't see through his true thoughts at all. However, in front of Fold Yawu, Teach felt that he was naked, like a stripper girl, with no secrets at all, as if everything he thought in his heart was seen through by him, and Teach also felt that no matter how loyal he showed, he couldn't gain his trust. "Boss, what are you thinking?" At this time, Lafitte came over. He leaned on the cane in one hand and did not get too close. It was not that he was afraid of heights, but that he knew how to respect, and this respect can create a sense of distance and gradient, making Teach feel like he a boss, not a dog that is dependent on others. Undoubtedly, Lafayette is good at grasping people's hearts, so he is now Teach's confidant and think tank. "Lafitte, you said we should just betray Fold Yao." What are you talking about?" Lafayette was obviously taken aback by Teach's sudden remarks. "Fold Yawu, what's the difference between this and courting death? Do you think my idea is crazy?" Teach seemed to be muttering to himself, because he hadn't turned to look at Lafayette's expression so far, but he could guess Lafayette's reaction. "Yes, a little bold," Lafitte answered submissively, but his heart was trembling and trembling. "If Fold Yawu doesn't die, then we won't have a chance to leave here. Maybe I underestimated him at the beginning, thinking that he could be reused in his hands, or gain benefits. Hey, anyway, get out of here early and defect to the world government or Tenryubito. There are still opportunities for interest, and they are in need of people right now, and I should be reused." Quote. Teach made no secret of his remorse. Maybe he could tell Laudian's heart a little in front of his subordinates, so as to resonate with his subordinates, or to strengthen his loyalty to him. Of course, no matter what the reason is, Teach does have a set when it comes to royals. Lafayette suppressed the shock in his heart and asked cautiously, "Then what are you going to do?" "Aha, tilde." Teach stretched, then lay down, tilted his head and looked at Lafitte. "The Artemis family on Elisha Island has always been in contact with Tenryubito, although they are businessmen on the surface, but also engaged in the slave trade and arms trade. Tenryubito is well aware of this. If we can get in touch with the Artemis family, then we have a chance, but we are now under the watch of Fold Yawu, so only you can sneak out quietly." "You asked me to contact the Artemis family." Lafitte's heart was beating violently. He knew very well that if this kind of thing was caught, it would definitely be dead. The second son of the Artemis family, Artemis Damoulin, is a playboy. He likes a luxurious life, and is a typical libertine, and his handsome appearance makes him nearly 50 years old, still lingering. Kong, even the young daughter is jealous for him, and he occasionally goes to Mariajoy. You can probably guess what he does. "You know this kind of thing?" Lafayette looked at Teach in astonishment. He really couldn't imagine why Teach knew so much. Or what was Teach's identity before he became a pirate. Under Lafitte's astonished gaze, Teach rolled down at this moment, got up and walked to Lafitte's side. "Okay, I've said what I should say, let's do it, Lafitte, I'll take everything, it's all on you." Daniel is not in the bar now, nor is he looking for a woman, but is just wandering the corridors of the mansion where he lives. The black suit he was wearing was made of finely woven, very shiny cloth. Delicate embroidery in gold and silver is embellished on the sleeves, and pure white lace, silk with transparent patterns can be seen under the sleeves. Daniel is a typical aristocrat, and it is a dress that can only be worn by extremely wealthy aristocrats, but it is cleverly not too gorgeous and loses taste. Not to show wealth without losing elegance, the choice of decorations has become the top priority. Daniel's decorative pieces are all exquisite handicrafts. The bright red or emerald gemstones inlaid in them are small, but each one comes from Kansas and is a rare treasure in the world. For his own life, Daniel is quite satisfied. At least he doesn't have to starve like those lowly poor people, and he doesn't have to sell his wife and daughters and let them support himself in flesh. Top of that, he was only 50 years old, he was well maintained, and he got up hard every morning, and the women of Mariajoy were obsessed and jealous of his personability. But today an uninvited guest disrupted Daniel's life. Chapter 855, The Secret of Kizaru. "Doctor, good afternoon." Hearing a lazy voice, Vegapunk looked back subconsciously, and after seeing who was coming, he took off his glasses. Ah, so it's Kizaru, why are you here? As Vegapunk spoke, he searched for someone who might be hiding behind Kizaru. Noticing Vegapunk's gaze, Kizaru Vivi Isho said indifferently, "Don't worry, I won't reveal your secrets, and I won't reveal the cooperation between you and Judge Tianlong." How did you know? Vegapunk's eyes were cold, and at the same time his eyes moved away quietly, as if confirming that he and Kizaru were really the only ones around. "Don't be nervous, I came alone, and it wouldn't do me any good to betray you." Kizaru shrugged and spread his hands in a helpless look. "As for how I know, it's very simple, because I used to be in charge of the scientific force, and I know all the tricks in it, including which researcher secretly sold the most new weapons, who's the spy who came in, etc. You know all about it." Vegapunk's voice is a little trembling. His impression of Kizaru has always been vague. He only knows that Kizaru likes to be lazy, and everything is just a matter of life. For most of the Marine Science Corps, Kizaru has been pushed to Zantaomaru and Sabo does it, and he is the oral command and guidance. Of course, but now is not the time to talk about this, and I'm not looking for you this time to talk about things that make you uncomfortable. Kizaru said as he walked to Vegapunk's side, picked up the folder beside Vegapunk, and casually after flipping through it, he said casually, "To be honest, I want to ask you for a little help." Vegapunk asked eagerly, "Help? What help?" "Andre broke one of my legs more than 20 years ago, and as you can see, the leg is now not good." Kizaru raised his leg, the broken leg clearly visible. "Shanks nearly killed me in the last fight. If my leg is intact, he can't hurt me." Vegapunk breathed a sigh of relief. "So, do you want me to give you a leg?" "Almost, but that leg has to be strong. You should understand what I mean. The bloodline factor experiment and the bloodline transplantation matching technology, etc. These technologies are beyond the imagination of this world, I know very well." Hearing this, Vegapunk already understood Kizaru's intention. "You want to improve your strength." Kizaru said calmly, I don't want to admit it, but that's what I mean. I don't want to be on the verge of dying. I don't like that feeling. And I want to live longer, at least to witness it with my own eyes. The end of troubled times. But this kind of experiment is risky, and I need Judge's help, but now Judge is now controlled by Full Yao, I know that. You even know this. Because that's what Full Yao told me. If it was just a shock, now Vegapunk's expression is, "Mom, there are aliens peeing in front of us." In other words, are you from Full Yao? Not really, but he saved my life. Saved your life? Could it be the Seven Waters battle? It seems that you haven't forgotten, Doctor, that Andre almost killed me back then, but fortunately he was rescued by Full Yao. Even though this guy was very ambitious, he even asked me to be an undercover agent for him. But there are so many undercover spies in this department, it's not worse than me. And even if I don't leak the information, he has a way to get information from other sources. Kizaru said lightly about his betrayal of Marine. Of course, he did so just to make Vegapunk trust him more. And Vegapunk himself is a child of 2 or 5, and has never given up on Tenryubito and the world government. Therefore, Kizaru's heart-to-heart words gave Vegapunk a good impression, at least it resonated with the same people who were lost in the world. Kizaru has been away from the headquarters recently. I heard that he found a quiet island to recuperate his body. With Kizaru away, Sabo has been more open for a while. All this time he's been talking about the location of the new lab and the exact location of the Marine's secret shipyard. It's just that Zantaowen asked 3 questions, but fortunately Zantaowen trusted Sabo, but he didn't have any suspicions. Apart from Zantaomaru, Sabo didn't know many people in the headquarters. But recently I heard that he is going to be promoted. If the news is true, then he will command the fleet to fight. Although the scale of the fleet is not very large, it is estimated that it is a small fleet composed of 7 or 8 battleships, but for Sabo, who is in his early 20s, he is already a rising star in Marine. Congratulations, Sab Vice Admiral. I see Sab Vice Admiral not far from where Admiral is. Yes, Sab Vice Admiral is young and promising, and he is the backbone of our Marine. The people who came to congratulate were some lieutenant colonels and colonels. Almost all of them are old. They have served in the headquarters for more than 10 years, and some even more than 20 years. The school officials of this age have lost the spirit of young people. Become slick and sophisticated, with a natural face like a city wall, so they don't think there's anything wrong with flattering a potential vice admiral. Thank you, everyone. Sabo's expression was rather embarrassed, and he couldn't help thinking to himself, if my undercover identity was exposed, what would the expressions of these people who call me Marine Future Star and Marine Pillar look like? Shaking his head with a chuckle, Sabo was about to leave, but stopped because of the announcement in the corridor. All generals above Rear Admiral go to the meeting room immediately. To repeat, all generals above Rear Admiral will immediately go to the conference room for a meeting. ... Before the announcement stopped, Sabo felt his shoulders sink. Someone tapped him on the shoulder. Sabo turned around and saw Smoker with his arms in a cast standing behind him. Behind Smoker stood a group of generals. These generals were all Rear Admiral. They all had one thing in common, that is, they were awarded the rank of Rear Admiral on the same day as Smoker. These generals looked at Sabo with disdain, jealousy, and anger. Sabo has experienced these eyes many times. Since he was promoted to Rear Admiral, he has seen such eyes from time to time. Sab Vice Admiral, let's go to the conference room together. Sabo was stunned for a moment, and then he replied, well. Together. Chapter 856 Big Brother is so bold. Because of Sab's tipping off, Andre learned the contents of Marine's emergency meeting at the first time. This meeting is roughly to destroy the private armed forces entrenched in East Blue and North Blue, and these two private armed forces have a common organization, that is, Servants of God, code-named SOG. And this SOG organization has been providing arms to major forces, ranging from guns and swords, to warships, and even nerve gas. They will also sell. In short, as long as customers have needs, they can be satisfied. Even more shocking are their smuggling channels. Even in the sea areas where South Blue and West Blue are blocked by the government and Marine for trade, these arms and materials are continuously transported into it. This news is undoubtedly a bolt from the blue, and the expressions of the generals of the Marine headquarters are very exciting. Because once the news is confirmed, then the Marine is malfeasance. Therefore, in order to restore Marine's honor, Akainu summoned the generals of the headquarters as soon as possible, firstly to prevent the leakage of information, and secondly to organize the deployment as soon as possible, vowing to wipe out this arms group. Sabo felt that this matter must be strange, because according to the information collected by the assassination unit of the 0 Division and the Kansas Intelligence Department and the Revolutionary Army Department, this SOG organization is in all likelihood full of Yahoo's personal armed force. It's just that this organization is a single-line contact from top to bottom, so if you can't find a branch in a certain area, it's impossible to investigate where the headquarters is. It is precisely these branches that are extremely difficult to find. Therefore, the SOG organization is very cautious. Once it finds trouble, it will not hesitate to give up the branch and hide it at the same time. Marshal, is the news this time true? The first question to be asked in this kind of specification meeting is naturally the Hawk generals. These people are Akainu's direct descendants and are deeply trusted by Akainu. Akainu nodded and said, the source of the information can be assured, but for the sake of confidentiality, the source of the information will not be disclosed for the time being. In that case, let me destroy the East Blue branch. How can this kind of thing be without me? I'll go with you. Then I'll go to North Blue. These cholera sources can't be left in the world. ... The Hawk generals, you say what I say, and scramble to make a statement. Akainu is not in a hurry to come to a conclusion. His eyes swept across the faces of other generals at this moment, his eyes as sharp as eagles, as if to see through who is wearing a disguise. At this time, Sabo stood up and said to Akainu, "Marshal, leave the mission to East Blue this time to me. My hometown is East Blue, and I am relatively familiar with the sea there." Akainu glanced at Sabo. He knew that Sabo was promoted by Kizaru, and Sabo was a genius in the military school, and he was also highly evaluated in the Marine headquarters. Most of the generals privately called him Marine's future star, Marine Pillars. And Sabo was promoted to Vice Admiral, not through the back door. It is his outstanding achievements. Even in the scientific force, they made great achievements and made the pirates fearful. If you don't count the qualifications, if you only talk about Sabo's achievements and strength, then he has reached the qualification line for participating in the Admiral assessment. It's just that Akainu always feels that Sabo is a little unreliable, or maybe it's because he was promoted by Kizaru, which is why Sengoku, Sora and others are unanimously optimistic. "Marshal, Marshal." Sabo waved at Akainu. Akainu came back to his senses and said apologetically to Sabo newspaper, "You have other tasks, this time, leave it to others." "Ah, I see." Sabo's expression was deliberately regretful, but he was actually relieved. After all, he had already felt it, and there were many people in Marine who were jealous of his position. The words of the adoptive father Andre, "The wood is beautiful in the forest, and the wind will destroy it." So Sabo knew that if he robbed him of this mission again, even if he was not an undercover agent, he would be framed. This is not the first time Sabo has seen these intrigues in power. Fortunately, he was covered by Sengoku and Kong before, and at the same time, Kizaru was protecting him, so no one dared to do anything to him. But now and then, Kizaru has recently disappeared, and Sengoku has retired again. So keep a low profile. Fortunately, Sabo has received Andre's order, and after a while, he will be able to leave Marine and return to Team Zero to take over the assassination unit. This time, Fujitora, Chaton Tokikake, Momoshige will lead the team, and Kuroba will lead. Akainu instructed Jongshan on the marshal's seat, and the generals named by him stood up one by one. Smoker, Surya, Yoda, Tina. Yes. Smoker jumped straight up like he had springs on his feet. Very well, Marine needs such a spirited Marine. Akainu was very satisfied with Smoker's response. This is the arrogance and prestige that a professional soldier should have. Then I wish you a prosperous martial arts. Oh. The meeting room responded in unison. ... As soon as the meeting was over, Sabo found an opportunity to pass the news to Andre. At this time, Andre was still wandering at sea, aimlessly. Olga's little loli seems to be taking them around on purpose, and every torture is coming to prevaricate. Blue blue. Blue blue. When the phone bug in his arms rang, Andre walked to the side of the boat. Sabo, what happened? Marine received intelligence and found Fulvyawu's smuggling channel. Information. Where did it come from? Andre is more concerned about the source of intelligence. As for those smuggling channels, and where those branches are, he is not very interested. I don't know. Akainu's tone is very strict, and he won't reveal a word. Really? Andre pondered for a while, then said to Sabo, "Contact me when you have news." Yes. Sabo ended the call. Interesting, Fulvyawu was actually betrayed. Who did it? Andre thought about it, and couldn't help but chuckle and laugh out loud. The reason why he laughs is entirely because Fulvyawu's master skills are excellent, and his subordinates are often killed by Fulvyawu. As for those who want to betray him, they have never pass. If I had to describe it more accurately, it would be the one who was willing to be betrayed by Fulvyawu, and when he was sold, he had to help count the money. Who dare to betray Fulvyawu? Who will this person be? Although I can't guess who it is, Andre just wants to say, Big Brother is so fat. Chapter 857 The Coercion of the King. Little girl, my patience is limited, you'd better explain it quickly. Andre said impatiently, and waved to Domino and Violet at the same time. Domino and Violet understood and immediately scratched the soles of Olga's feet with their feathers. Ha ha ha. Olga's body trembled as he laughed, his limbs constantly struggling. This is Andre's torture against her. Although this torture was spent with laughter, Olga was tossed every time and felt powerless. It was only gradually that Olga also discovered that Andre only seemed to use this kind of torture on her. As long as she gritted her teeth, she could get away with it. In the final analysis, Andre insisted not to beat women, let alone bully little Loli. Otherwise, there are still many means of torture in the assassination unit of Team Zero. Such as tiger stools, rolling nail boards, oil pans, teppanyaki. Boss, we can't really spend so much time with her, it's been 5 days. Enel was a little impatient. This kind of aimless wandering at sea made him really unable to lift his spirits. The length of the sentence has been increased from 10 minutes to 15 minutes. Andre waved his hand and screamed out Enel, and that was all he could do now. Although it was only improved for 5 minutes, it was the last straw that broke the camel's back. I tell you, don't scratch. Olga finally compromised. The limit she could bear these days was only 10 minutes, and now it was suddenly delayed by 5 minutes, which made her completely collapse. Tell me, where is El Kami Island? Robin asked coldly as he walked over to Olga. The days of wandering at sea made Robin a little cold, and she looked like an ice beauty. After going to Sky Island, she spent a long time with the Zero Guard and the assassination unit, which made her even colder. In here. Olga took off his ring. Ring. Robin picked up Olga's ring and looked at it carefully, then she took out the magnifying glass, which she usually used for archaeology, but still couldn't see that there was a map or navigation device hidden on it. And when I heard that Olga finally confessed, Andre also came to join in the fun. There are a lot of people around Olga at the moment, all waiting for the moment when the mystery is revealed. That's what this ring is for. Olga looked at Andre and the others with the eyes of a turtle, and then threw the ring out. The ring shone brightly in the air before falling into the sea in a parabola. Hey kid, what are you doing? Enel looked at Olga in astonishment. Andre was silent, and although Olga's behavior shocked him too, he waited patiently for things to unfold. Because Andre thinks Olga will never do anything stupid, so there must be a purpose. This kind of waiting did not last too long, and the sea began to churn, as if some monster was about to rush out of the sea. What? It's so big. The priests and soldiers under Enel were stunned, because in front of them was a super huge lanternfish. This lanternfish is really big. No, it should be described as huge, even much bigger than the island, devouring monster Andre killed in Shalwa Garden. At this moment, this supergiant lanternfish is opening its bloody mouth and madly swallowing the surrounding seawater. The surrounding sea kings, sea beasts, boats, schools of fish, etc., were all swallowed by the lanternfish along the ocean current. Andre didn't have the slightest surprise or fear for such a giant beast. After all, the New World is a magical place where everything can be encountered, so such a big lanternfish is nothing. And the timing of the appearance of this lanternfish is not too long from the time when the ring fell into the water, which means. Andre said lightly, El Kami Island was swallowed by this guy. Ah, how do you know? Olga was supposed to show off in front of a group of turtles. This type of beast likes to devour islands the most, but in front of tyrants, it is too arrogant. After Andre finished speaking, he suddenly became serious, and then Conqueror Haki released. Although Haki is invisible and colorless, it is indeed affecting and radiating the area in front of Andre. Under the influence of such a terrifying Conqueror Haki, the world suddenly loses its color, and a terrifying coercion belonging to the strong is torturing the entire sea. Sea kings, sea beasts, and fish all rolled their eyes and sank into the sea. Buzzing. Space seems to be vibrating and distorting too. By Andre's Conqueror Haki, the giant lanternfish did not faint, but it was no longer arrogant, and gradually succumbed. Go in and have a look. Andrei said coldly. Everything he did made Olga dumbfounded. Because just now she thought Andrei was a bitch, but now it seems like she doesn't know. The disappearing island of El Kami. El Kami is not a magical island, there are no gods living on it, but it gave birth to a great scientist. Of course, the great scientist has lost his handsome face. Mishina Asir, as always, wore a dinosaur cloth cover, disguised as a dinosaur, and competed with a group of young dragons for bloody meat. 200 years have passed since this kind of life and blood drinking, and these 200 years are too boring for Mishina. It's just that he once fantasized about his family being alive, so he was still alive. However, living in the stomach of a giant lanternfish, even if his family is still alive, how can he find it? Hey, he sighed deeply. A sea wiped the blood from his mouth dry. Although there were bloodshots and minced flesh between his teeth and the corners of his mouth, keeping his body clean was not so important on this island where he was the only one left. But at this moment, a ship suddenly flew by. This ship is indeed flying. What? Asier looked at the UFO in amazement. On this UFO, there is not only a black pirate flag, but also a big God flag. This ship is exactly the Ark Proverbs. Andrei stood on the bow, looking down at the island below. Is this the island of El Kami? Chapter 858 Levels, Tests. It's just child's play. With Olga leading the way, Andrei and his party easily reached the treasure location. According to Olga, pure gold is hidden in the deepest part of the laboratory. Boss, there is a stone tablet here, but we can't understand the text on it. At this time, the magic soldier team that was exploring the way in front sent back the news. Robin was more excited than anyone when he heard the words, incomprehensible. But after seeing the words on the stone tablet, she immediately lost interest, because those were not ancient words. What's written on it? Andrei asked curiously, walking to the stone tablet. Looking for the shining going, whoever breaks into this place, will pay with his life. My name, Mishina Asir. Olga's face changed suddenly when Robin read this. What's wrong with you? Nami asked curiously with the attitude of sightseeing and treasure hunting along the way. Olga lowered his head and gritted his teeth. Ozzy, he is my bastard. He's your father? Andrei asked. Olga nodded. He made pure gold. Well, it looks like we're not far from our destination. Andrei chuckled lightly, and then strode into the depths of the research institute. Shortly after entering the research institute, I heard a scream. I'm sorry that two reckless magic soldiers accidentally touched the mechanism and were injured by bows and arrows. Fortunately, they didn't hurt the vital point. It didn't die. However, this dense rain of arrows is indeed a lot of trouble. Only those who play the sheet music correctly, and those who are pure in heart can approach pure gold. Robin read the words on a stone tablet in the room again, and then pointed to the peacock piano in the center of the room. Playing the piano, a boring trick. With a wave of Andrei's hand, a gust of wind suddenly ripped the peacock into pieces. As soon as the peacock piano shattered, the bow and arrow mechanism around the wall began to shoot arrows at Andrei frantically. Jingle jingle. Arrows kept hitting Andrei, but they couldn't hurt even an inch of his skin. Is this trick of fooling a child worth getting in my way? Andrei drank in a deep voice, then slammed dozens of punches all around. Under Andrei's heavy punch, not to mention the mechanism inside the wall, even the wall itself shattered into rubble. Let's go and see what the next level is. After Andrei finished speaking, he strode towards the intersection going opened with brute force. Olga stared at Andrei's back stunned, and sighed inwardly, is this guy really human? Eagle Bridge. The people who get the shining going are those who have excellent concentration and courage. Shoot the holy eagle, build bridges. Hearing Robin's explanation, Nami held her cheeks and looked at the opposite side, that is to say, if you hit the heart on the opposite side, the suspension bridge will fall down by itself, but it's a bit difficult. There are airflow barriers here, and the shooting accuracy will be affected, and... Before Nami could finish speaking, a triceratops suddenly rushed out. But this triceratops just ran 2 steps before it was frightened by Andre's look and turned around and ran. Another boring trick. Andre directly used the moon step to reach the opposite side, and then easily lowered the suspension bridge. To bang, we are 1 step closer to the treasure. Nami excitedly ran across the suspension bridge and followed closely behind Andre. At this time, Olga's expression was numb, because these so-called difficulties were really too childish for Andre. Just as Andre and the others passed the suspension bridge and headed for their final destination, a group of people quietly chased the suspension bridge. This group of people uniformly wears a taupe cloak, and wears a black tight leather jacket, leather pants, and leather boots, and walks majestically. And behind these cloaked men, Foldyawu and Ayadala also arrived. Looking at the direction where Andre and the others disappeared, Ayadala said with a worried expression, "Master, Andre has already taken us ahead, what should we do now?" "What's the hurry? Even if Andre gets it first, we can get it back." Foldyawu's voice was still low and hoarse, his face had returned to his handsomeness, and every muscle in his body was filled with explosive power. With such a body and his peerless swordsmanship, he was not afraid to fight Andre again. "Field." "Yes." Ayadala bowed his head immediately, knowing that his master was desperate to show his power. Past, he fought against Andre to hide his strength for the sake of forbearance. Later, his suspended animation became really cruel, resulting in his body being unable to exert his original combat power. This was why he was defeated again and again by Andre. Foldyaw's muscles have recovered, and he is confident that he can compete with Andre. However, when Andre was in front and Foldyawu followed, CP0 got a big fish at this time. "If I'm not mistaken, you are Assy." "I don't deny it, I know you are." CP0 who couldn't see his appearance, Ozzy just wanted to lie, but 2 fingers like sharp knives pressed against his throat. "Since you built this place, you must know the shortcut." I. If you won't take us, we'll kill you now." This CP0 is a ruthless master. This time he is on a mission, so he knows what will happen when he returns if the mission cannot be completed. Olga before he dies, so he has the idea of, anyway, the pure gold can't be preserved, so he has to meet his daughter, idea. ... As long as you pass this crocodile's mouth, you can get pure gold. Robin said lightly, apparently not interested in this kind of game. "That's all it takes to smash the crocodile, right?" Vivi raised the corner of Andre's mouth, and then threw a punch. Boom. After a loud bang, the crocodile disappeared. However, in the secret room that was opened, there was no trace of pure gold. "Why nothing?" Andre frowned, a feeling of being teased, and anger built up in his heart. Just then, a familiar sound of laughter came. "Ho ho ho. Andre, give me the pure gold, I need it more than you." Diaresis Andre clenched his fists and responded coldly, "Folderyawu. You bastards don't handle your own housework, but come here instead, are you looking for death?" Chapter 859 A Blow of Fury. Housework. You're just talking about ringworm. For me, pure gold is more important, and so do you. Give Whitebeard the chance of immortality, and you should have a lot of time left. That's why he came to snatch the pure gold himself. Foldyawu's voice went from far to near until he appeared in everyone's field of vision. But it's not Foldyawu's handsome appearance that makes people care, but what he just said. Andre's time running out. My own body, I know it best, and I never regret the choices I made. After Andre finished speaking, he swelled up his muscles, because he could feel the strong breath from Foldyawu. From the previous Foldyawu, it is a kind of strong self-confidence. Therefore, Andre went directly into the pseudo blood bath and wanted to end the battle in the shortest possible time. You don't regret it. Even if you regret it, is it still useful? Even if the fruit of the operation appears, you will not be able to wait for the right user. Foldiawu finished speaking. He put his hands on the hilts of the two war knives around his waist. I don't need you to care about my life and death. What you should think about is whether someone will come to pay homage to your grave next year. After Andre finished speaking, he disappeared in place with a shave. Shish, _ I saw that Andre was moving at a high speed, and could only see afterimages. Same is true of Foldiawu. Two of the world's top-level powerhouses, lifelong enemies, are fighting again today. Andre approached Foldiawu's left side, stretched out his right foot and kicked Foldiawu's knee. Foldiawu was not flustered, but he did not dodge, but confronted him head-on. Bang! Feet and knees collided violently. The strength of each other's interaction allows both of them to understand each other's current state. You guy has a lot more power, but that's what's exciting. Ah! A loud shout. Andre was full of energy, his fists were like dragons, and he suddenly slammed into Foldiawu. Foldiawu drew his sword in an instant. This slashing with two swords at the same time is not only unheard of before, but its power cannot be underestimated. In an instant, the two spiral shock waves blasted out by Andre were impacted and collided by the two magnificent blade air, cancelling each other out. Interesting, come again. Andre's eyes widened like a tiger's eyes, and the muscles in his feet swelled instantly under control. Under the explosive force of his muscles, Andre was like a rocket and went straight to Foldiawu. Crashing and shaking. With one punch, the island began to shatter under the destruction of the collapse force. In an instant, the entire island was split in landslides, and at the same time, the terrifying strength penetrated into the stomach juice of the lanternfish, setting off huge waves. Cut the spring in autumn. Foldiawu is still unafraid. The new body has allowed him to regain his personal strength, so he has the confidence to face Andre directly. The huge sword chi that was hundreds of meters long collided with the collapsing force and shock force that Andre blasted. The whole island could no longer withstand the destruction, and finally turned into countless floating islands. It seems that there is still a big gap between me and the boss. Enel thought to himself, but some people didn't like him watching the White Show. Enel, the god of thunder, let my great poison King Ayatollah punish you in the name of God. In the name of God. I think it's you who will be punished. God's punishment. A dazzling thunder pillar suddenly slammed down and slammed into the position where Ayatollah was just now. Dark curtain weakness. Although Ayatollah is Paramesha, the range attack of his fruit ability is not inferior to Logia. Enel and Ayatollah started fighting on this side, while the men on the other side also started fighting. But at this moment, on a certain floating island, a man was calling out a girl's name, Olga. That voice is. Olga turned around in disbelief and looked at the floating island in the distance. There was a fat man on the floating island who was looking at her with concern. Hey, who are you? Olga's words made Assi nearly pass out. I'm your father, Messina Asir, although I'm a little fat now, but... Asir was about to explain that the CP0 behind him had pierced his heart with a Shigan finger pistol. Pure gold has been obtained. This fat man is useless. Let's go. CP0 wants to leave this place of right and wrong. As for the outcome of the battle between Andre and Foldiawu, they have no time to care for the time being. But they want to leave, but that doesn't mean someone is willing to let them go. Catch them. Enel found the gleaming pure gold, and immediately commanded his team of magic soldiers to snatch it. Recapture the pure gold. Ayatollah also directed the manpower to snatch it. Damn, CP0 and his party also knew that they were now being targeted by the two forces, and they were likely to be torn to pieces by the two forces. Abandon pure gold for now and let them fight infighting first. Without the slightest hesitation, CP0 threw the pure gold at will. And the light emitted by the pure gold thrown into the air not only attracted everyone's attention, but also attracted the attention of the lanternfish. This supergiant lanternfish likes the glow of pure gold, so when such a large piece of pure gold is in its body, it is immediately affected, causing the gastric juices to churn. Be quiet for Lao Su. Andre let out a loud shout, and Conqueror Haki was released in an instant. Under the influence of Conqueror Haki, the lanternfish immediately became quiet, and the churning gastric juice slowly receded. Foldyawu took this opportunity to fight for pure gold. Want pure gold? Let's see if you can save this life first. Andre didn't move to grab the pure gold, but started accumulating energy. Andre's skin became red and swollen at this time, as if inflated into the knotted muscles, and the veins and blood vessels under the skin burst out, twisting like a snake. 80 times the power burst. Benjin ultimate profound truth. Give me yours and disappear. Boom 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 boom. Bursts of sonic booms were heard incessantly, and tens of thousands of collapsing energy blasted out in an instant, shattering everything in the area in front of Andre and turning it into ashes. Including the stomach of the lanternfish, most of it was also blown away. Chapter 860 The Bloody Horror of the Pinnacle of Battle. Kill Foldyawu in 1 second. Almost everyone thought so, even Ayadala thought his master was a fart. However, Andre's reaction told everyone the answer. Why hide? Isn't it good to die honestly? Andre felt an uncontrollable anger welling up in his mouth. Andre, it's not that easy to kill me, the feud between you and me can't be over. After a sentence, a violent slash suddenly appeared behind Andre. The silvery white is like a substantial slash, densely packed, layer upon layer, as if it has firmly locked Andre. You fool! Andre didn't look behind him. It didn't take long to see him smiling. That smile was like a crescent moon, quietly hanging on his thin mouth. Overlord armor. Jingle, _. Of the metal and iron slamming, Andre's body was surrounded by sparks, and Foldyawu's intensive slashes did not hurt Andre in the slightest. Ayadala stared blankly at the battle in front of her. How can this happen? The master's attack is ineffective against Andre. Ha 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 ha. Andre restrained his laughter, then turned around and looked at Foldyawu coldly. Without such a supreme sword as the Kingdom of Heaven, your simple slashing is like a funny joke. Finished speaking, Andre raised his head and laughed again, but his icy eyes were so cold that he felt cold to the bone. Since you think so, then you must experience the power of my swordsmanship. Are you serious? Ha 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 ha. If you don't have to show real strength, wouldn't it make you look down on it? Alright, I haven't fought seriously for a long time. ... The conversation between Andre and Foldyawu once again set off a storm in the hearts of everyone. It turns out that the two of them have been playing since the beginning. I'm coming, Andre. Foldyawu finished speaking. He shortened the distance between Heian again. This time, he was really close to Andre, and he abandoned the two jeweled swords in his hand. Covered with armament, haki are like daggers, not only extremely sharp, but also more swift and agile. With Foldyawu's strange asynchronous method, it is simply a trick to kill the key. It's exciting. Andre turned his fist into a claw, and used his dragon claw fist to confront Foldyawu's finger sword. Ding 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 ding. The fingers and claws collided frequently, and others could not observe the trajectory of the two's attack at all. This is the pinnacle to peak battle of speed and skill. At the same time, within the limit of speed, it is also mixed with the understanding of both fighting techniques and swordsmanship, as well as haki's profound cultivation. There is no doubt that any mistakes will be fatal. Andre, do you want that Eric? Do you have his whereabouts? Maybe not now, but I will make the impossible possible. Then you thought you might die here today. Ho ha ho ho, I never thought I would lose. Foldyawu spoke. He stabbed Andre's eyebrows and heart with his sword at the same time. This finger sword is extremely powerful. It can easily cut through steel. If the target is only the skull of a human being, the sword energy will cut the skull into filaments like tofu. Call out. Clang. Sword chi shot out of the finger, sword burst into the air, but it was caught by Andre's dragon claw. Do you think you can distract you? You idiot. After Andre finished speaking, he used his right foot to exert force, and his body was like a tiger leaping towards a mountain stream. Arlong treads the sea. This move is naturally Andre's modified dragon claw fist, tailor-made for himself. Claws not only have terrible tearing and penetrating power, but also have a terrifying power that can smash mountains into pieces at any time. And this powerful claw is aimed at Foldyawo's forehead. If it hits with one claw, it will definitely cause the head to explode, and at the same time, it will also have the effect of exploding pulp. Foldyawo stepped on both feet, and the whole person flew back dozens of meters, trying to avoid Andre's powerful blow. However, Andre missed a hit, but his claws ripped apart the floating island, leaving Foldyawo without a stable foothold. Sure enough, Foldyawo didn't even have time to adjust the balance of his body, so he used Shaved again to move in a small range. And all this, as Andre expected. At this time, Andre's body kept leaning forward. He lowered his posture like a dive, and moved forward quickly, waving his right hand in the air. Call. The pale white claw rushed along the ground and hit the soles of Foldyawo's feet. Foldyawo had to stop forcibly, jumped up at the same time, and attacked Andre with his unfamiliar legs. In terms of fighting technique, you are still a long way from Lao Tzu. Andre obviously didn't care about Foldyawo's counterattack. He just used the Shang chamber to hold back the 3 bursts of kicks that broke out in a hurry, and then swung his claws again and again. One claws directly hit Foldyawo the abdomen. And pulled, just to see Foldyawo's intestines being pulled over. Do you have any last words to say now, you venomous snake? Andre's right hand caught Foldyawo's neck like an eagle's open claws, and began to use force slowly, breaking his neck bone little by little. Click, click. The sound of broken bones, creaking, made one's spine go cold. Ho ho ho. The strange and abrupt laughter made everyone horrified. Last words. Andre, have you forgotten what devil fruit I ate? I'm a cockroach, and even if my head is lost and my whole body is cut into countless pieces, I won't die right away. Foldyawo finished speaking. The finger swords in both hands suddenly burst into a strong and bright light. Damn, this guy still has power. Ultimate profound truth. Opening up the world. Ultimate profound truth. Heaven and earth crack. Andre and Foldyawo broke out their ultimate meanings almost at zero distance. In an instant, the dazzling sword chi and chi burst into the most violent collision. The space was chaotic, and everything around turned into powder. At the feet of the two of them, the floating island turned into dust. It's so dazzling. What exactly happened? Diaresis. When everyone's eyesight was restored, Andre was motionless, his hands covered in blood and dark ashes. And Foldyawo retreated 100 meters away. His body was already bloody, his ribs were incomplete, and there was a super scary blood hole in his abdomen. But neither of them moved. If it wasn't for the two of them still breathing weakly, perhaps others thought they were both dead.